Hey, what's up? Keith again here. And in this video, I'm going to take you through how to find and set up the perfect target audience on Facebook for Facebook ads or Instagram ads. Let's go in here and let's just go ahead and set up a new campaign, because on the next training on the creating ads, I'm going to go ahead and submit a live ad. So we'll start right now, and I've already gone through a lot of the other phases, choosing campaign objective, and the different elements around creating your campaign, setting your optimization, your budgeting, delivery methods. Those things are going to be in the other videos. In this one, we're just going to focus on targeting. So let's create campaign, start over, and we'll do it using the guided method here, so we can see everything a little bit more. But once you're used to this, using the quick creation is a great way to faster way to quickly create new ad sets. But we're going to go to guided here, and we're going to choose conversions. So for this one, we're going to go ahead and turn the campaign budget optimization on. And I've got a full video on how, in another training video, on when you should use CBO or when you should do ad set budget optimization. Typically, we're going to use that in phase 1 if we do use ad set budget optimization. But we're going to go ahead and choose this right now. Let's go ahead and just leave this at $100 for now. We can change that later. And we're going to use the default right here. Continue. So what we're at now is we're in the ad set level. So ad set name. So we got campaign level, ad set level, ad level. And let's call this we don't know yet because we haven't created it yet. So let's just keep going down here and just fill this stuff in. We're going to use conversions, and we're going to keep it at conversions right there, and the Keith Krance pixel right there. And we're going to use purchase, optimize on purchase. So we're kind of using the standards there. We're going to keep dynamic creative off, offer off, and audience. So let's talk about audiences. Now we have, like I've talked about before, we have sections here. So this is the custom audience section here. So I can create warm custom audiences, or I can create cold lookalike audiences. A custom audience is either your own data where you upload a list like your customers or your subscribers, or it's Facebook's data, which is Facebook fans, or a lookalike audience based off Facebook fans, which is a cold audience, or video views, 3%, 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 25%, 50%, 75%, 95%. Lots of different options here. So we have the audiences here. If I decide I want to target anybody who's watched a lookalike audience based off 25% video viewers of challenge videos, that's a cold audience. Actually, that's a warm audience. I selected the wrong one. Click lookalike. So let's say I want to target 1% lookalike audience. Right now, this audience, I selected all countries. When I created it, it's worldwide there. So what that means is I'm targeting the top 1% in that country, top 1% of the users that have a Facebook account that have similar characteristics, buyer behaviors, all those things, interests, as those people that watched 25% of any video that I've ran as an ad in the challenge. Like I said, it could be customers, Facebook page fans, website visitors, app downloads, anything. Okay, but right now it's United States only. So we've got United States. We've got 2 million people, 1%, 18 to 65. Why is that 2 million? The reason that's 2 million is because it's usually a little bit more than that. I'm not sure why. That's probably why. Yeah, it's just, if you look inside your audiences, that number will be like a little bit higher than that. But essentially, we've got United States because that is about 1% of all users. So there's around 200,000 people in the US. Sorry, there's around 200 million people in the US that are 18 to 65 that have a Facebook account. So I'm saying, okay, I want to target the top 1%. That's 2 million that are similar to the people that watch 25% of these videos. That's it. Okay. So that's overlaid. So if I add another country here, it's going to shrink. Now it goes from 2 million. I'm sorry, not going to shrink. It's going to increase, right? It's 2.3 million now. Because I'm making more, but right now these are overlaid. So if I remove United States and I remove Canada, watch what happens. Now we got 25 million because it's worldwide. So if I add United States in here, it drops down to 2 million because it's overlaid. Now if I take something down here, same thing happens. If I say I want to target people who also like Ryan Dice, which is 816,000, right? Now it goes from 2 million down to, stays the same for some reason. Oh, I know why. Because expanded is selected here. Duh. So we want to always uncheck this. You can feel free to once you have an offer that's working and generating conversions, a good volume of several conversions on a daily basis, then feel free to test another ad set that has this checked. But our default is always to have that unchecked because it's so broad. So notice what happened. Now we got 11,000 people. So it went down. It went from 2 million down to 11,000 because they have to like Ryan Dice. They have to be in this lookalike audience, and they have to live in the United States. So we have all these choices, right? We can even layer with people who like my page. So every section here where there's a little line, that's a section that if you add that into it, it's going to layer that in, and it's going to be a combination. It's going to shrink your audience. So in general, we don't want to do too much of that on Facebook. On Google, with YouTube ads, you do want to do more of that with the cold audiences because the audiences are very broad in general. Besides placements, besides targeting somebody's YouTube channel or YouTube video, but their custom affinity and keyword targeting is more broad. So you have better luck, better success typically doing some layering. But Facebook is optimization so money that what we're going to do is we're going to focus on, hey, we're going to build our ad groups like I've talked about in the campaign structure video, is that we're going to have ad groups with lookalike audiences only. And of course, we're always going to set up our demographic. It's the same every time. So maybe we target, what I do is we target about, we go to our saved locations here, top 18 countries. And we've got United States. I just put France, and then they created some of these. They created French Polynesia, U.S. Virgin Islands, some of these, and so I might as well leave them. But essentially, U.S., Ireland, a lot of these, Singapore, Spain, most of the European countries. There's more that we could add in here. We have some bigger ones too. But you have to be careful when you start going into India and Malaysia and stuff like that. They can get all the impressions and not get a lot of sales. Or if you're doing video view objective or something, they'll get 90% of the impressions because they're so much cheaper. But they might not turn into customers. So you can go broader than that too as well. But in general, we'll start there. Okay. So we're gonna go. Let's select that actually. I thought I did, but there we go. So that's selected. And we normally go about 26 to 28 and up. The older they go, the more buyers there's going to be. We used to start like 32 and up, 35 and up in some cases. We've gone lower. I just want to age down more in general. But if you're just starting out and you sell a business related product or anything actually that's fairly expensive, we used to have clients that they wouldn't target anybody below 40 years old because they've done so much research on their demographics, and that's just where all their buyers are. So typically about 28 for us. Sometimes it's 26. Sometimes if I want to test an audience that I'm not real excited about, I'll start it with a higher age range, like 30 or 35. You can do that too. Like Grant Cardone I have in there. Grant Cardone is 30 and above. just because I was a little nervous in general. It's a lot of, but it's working out really well so far. So we'll start to go lower and see how it goes. And then we'll analyze that. So we always select English. So when you do have a lot of countries that are non-English speaking, you can just use English for your language. So that's going to make sure and only target people that speak English. So this is initially, if I'm starting a campaign and I'm in the very beginning stages, I might just have this one lookalike right here. It's not the first one I'm going to choose. Typically, the first one I'm going to choose is going to be more like customers. So I might do 1% customers. This is a 1% all customers, high lifetime value right there. That's one of our better audiences. So we've got all these countries now, and we got our age set up there, and we're at 3.7 million. Okay, I consider that we used to consider that a pretty large audience. Nowadays, that's about average. We really do see the results once you have if you have a broad audience. What I mean is, if you have an international audience for your products, then the larger you can go, the better, assuming that you're generating enough conversions. Like if you're optimizing on purchase, if Facebook wants you to get 50 a week, that is good. If you have less than that, if you're starting out with 4 or 5 purchases per day, you still might be okay going really big. But if you can get to where you're getting more than, let's say, 5 or 10 per day, at least 5 or 10 per day, you can now start to go, especially as they start to build up. Let's say you've got 30 or 40 or 50 in the last few days. You're probably going to be better off in a 10 million person audience, or sometimes 15 million. So just realize that, especially if you know you've got an offer that's converting. But if you don't, maybe initially you start out with a little bit smaller audiences, but don't get your budgets too high, because if your budgets are too high, then you're going to burn through your ad spend, and your costs are going to go up pretty quickly. We want to really be able to spread out that ad spend across different audiences, creatives, campaigns, and stuff. Okay. So just as a review, if we're using, this is a 1% of the lifetime value, all customers, highest lifetime value. So with Facebook, when you upload a customer list here, we can say add value to create value-based lookalikes. So when we export our customers from our CRM or whatever your database is, if you have information on products they purchased, then you can actually have Facebook automatically optimize that based on the highest lifetime value. So that's what that list is. It's pretty cool. So they're trying to, now the lookalike audience here, so this is a lookalike, they're going to go out and find cold audiences that are similar to your highest lifetime value customers. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're either going to use lookalikes for this ad set. So we might have a group of lookalikes. Remember over here in our phase 1 structure here, we're going to have a warm ad set with all of our custom audiences on it. And then we're going to have another warm ad set with any fan page that we have control of. And we have to be, of course, a manager of that page and an admin of that page. Now, lookalikes right here, customers, lifetime value 1%. So that will be an audience. And then we'll go ahead and go through here and we'll leave everything else blank. Leave it automatic placements, and then hit continue and go to the ad. And that would be one ad set. And then once we upload the ad, we can duplicate that entire ad set. So if we go over here, and let's say that we want to, let's say our 1% is right here. Customers, and now we want to create another. Once we create that one audience, we can just duplicate it and keep everything the same, and then just change out the audience. Boom. Now we have the same, however many ads are in that ad set are going to stay in there, are going to duplicate into the new one. And then we just go down and change out the audience targeting here. That's it. Let's go back over here. We also want to make sure that we are excluding anybody that opts in. So here in our case, we're going to exclude, we can use the page that they land on, or we can use an upload. So for example, like when we first started, we uploaded people who had recently bought. So anytime challenge members. Okay. That's what we're going to do. And then we can also exclude people who land on the thank you page. And initially we didn't even have that set up on here. We just recently added this because we just had the customers. But basically you want to, so these are new, updating still. So we might put 21-day challenge evergreen thank you page. We want to exclude them. And so we're excluding those guys in every audience, obviously, because they landed on the thank you page. So that means they converted. So with these audiences, let's talk about local for a minute. If you're a local business in a geo-targeted area, maybe you're in the Seattle area, maybe you're in New York City, maybe you're in your area covers a few different cities or a county. Well, in that case, all the whole audience sizes I was talking about a minute ago goes out the window. You want to have as big as audience as possible, because that's how you can really leverage the algorithm and let it do its thing. And so we recommend going really broad initially, especially if you're able to get conversions. Maybe you're just doing demographic targeting just here, and you're not doing any targeting at all, especially if you're not in a huge city. Maybe you test out with a really broad based interest and see if it doesn't narrow it down too much. Remember, as soon as you start getting conversions, the more it narrows down that audience anyways. We have campaigns running right now with clients where we call it BANT, B-A-N-T, broad audience, no targeting. So we're talking about international audiences. So like this, essentially, right there, we got demographics in and no targeting. But guess what? It's not targeting 260 million people. It's way less than that once you start generating conversions, especially if you're in a CBO campaign and you add another ad set and you've already got conversions within that campaign. So the algorithm's getting smart already. So it's not going to be initially, it's not going after 260 million. It's already narrowed way down on the people that are most similar to the ones that you've had convert. So obviously, if that's working internationally with campaigns where we're getting a lot of volume of conversions, then locally, you know, you're going to be okay with going over after 800,000 or 1 million, right? Now, if you're not getting very many conversions, one a day or something like that, you might want to narrow it down a little bit more initially. So that is just some guidelines there. So now I might have another audience. I might have another audience that's got, LTV. What the heck? Oh, that's needs to be here. So I might go 1% lifetime value, 5%, and 10%. And all together in one audience, 26 million. That's going to be one of our new phase 2 audiences, by the way, in our CBO campaign that I'll talk about on the optimization videos. Okay. But you can absolutely, one of the ways I'd recommend starting out earlier though, would be maybe instead of doing that, maybe you have a newer offer, you don't have a lot of data yet. Let's put 2 or 3 1% together. So I can say 1% of people who watch 25% of the video. I can say, 1% of 60-day Facebook page engagers. everything in there good. Now what we can do is say, hey, let's save this audience. And we'll call it 1% excluding challenge buyers. 28 and up, something like that. Okay. And then if you're doing a lot of detailed expansion, then you would add that to the label. Anything that you have in your targeting that you might do different in other campaigns, then put it in the label. When in doubt, put it in the label. If for some reason you never, ever change your age, it's always the same range for like 2 years, then you don't have to put that in the title of your ad set or campaign. And just notice that you got this message here, because I saved an audience. If you go back and do an edit a saved audience, they won't let you take the it's weird. They won't let you, see, I'm trying to click that and it won't let me. They won't let you turn the detailed expansion back on. Or if I selected this initially and then I saved it, they won't let you remove it. The only way to do that is just to duplicate that audience essentially and start a new one, and then duplicate that audience like right here, and then edit it and then save it again. So you have both saved audiences. So that is only the case when it's a saved audience. Okay. Now, let's say that we're not gonna use that. Let's go back to create new. And if we're in interests, I talk about using buckets. So if you go over here and we talk about interest groups, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, we want to use buckets of interests ideally. So what that means is, let's say that we're going to target Ryan Dice. A bucket would be Ryan Dice. Would be, let's just suggestions here. The suggestions, awesome. They don't have as many audiences as they used to, but they still have so many in terms of interests. And interests are always some of the greatest audience. Way better than the partner categories, the offline data like income and what kind of car they drive and all that stuff that was really cool to look at. But the audiences never worked that well anyways. The lookalikes and the interests were always by far the best audiences, which makes sense because that stuff is still available on Google and doesn't seem to work that great unless it's overlaid with other stuff. So I'm not going to just click all these because I know these thought leaders really well. In my opinion, the way once we get into the CBO campaign where we're combining a lot, we have larger audiences, we'll put a lot more of these together. But initially, I might say, let's focus on the digital marketing, direct response, kind of internet marketing gurus. And that's going to be, I put Mike Dillard in there a little bit, but really initially it's Frank Kern for me. And Ryan Dice. It's also, Brendan Burchard's more motivational and stuff like that. Gary Vee is really broad. I would hold him off. Grant Cardone could be similar, but I could put him on his own potentially because his audience is so large now. It's so you got Kim Garst. She's a Facebook person, so I'd put that in there. Social Media Examiner. InfusionSoft, we could put that. Really, InfusionSoft we have separate right now, but really InfusionSoft, to me, fits in with all these. Not necessarily Kim Garst, really. I would say Kim Garst, she does Facebook ad stuff, but she's also like a Facebook marketing person. So I might do something like this. And right now I know we have one that has InfusionSoft on its own because I was curious to see how it would do. But typically I would combine maybe those. Or if there was more gurus, I'd put more gurus and I'd keep InfusionSoft with some other software programs and stuff. So this is how I would usually, maybe something like this. And who else? Mike Sam used to be in here. Still is, but it's so small it doesn't even really do anything now. And you can go over your interests research spreadsheet and look through and start digging out and grabbing other names that you've built through your, hopefully you've done your research. You've got a lot of names listed out and you can just start putting them in here. Okay. Let's just keep it simple for now and use these 4. And we want to uncheck that for sure. Cause look how big it is. Remember 230 million when that thing's checked. Are you kidding me? So another group might be social media gurus. So Amy Porterfield. But like I said, I used to never have hers on her own, but it's so big now. Look at that audience. It's crazy. So I have her tested out right now on her own. Well, what happened here? How come? Oh, because I saved that audience. So now I lost all my my countries and stuff that I had in there. Bummer. Let's go back to here. Okay, let's do that. And we're going 28 and up, English. And exclude. Let's just put that in there for now. Okay, so like it's still 17 million. But normally what I would do, and this is what we'll do in the CBO campaign, but like I said, initially I might start it off on its own and that's it. It's fine. But we're going to be better off if we put some other ones on here together with this. Social Media Examiner. It's really small. That's bigger. There we go. Interest. That's employees. That's interests. But I would do employees too, right? Why wouldn't you? And I can hit browse, and there's a lot of them. Marie Folio is really big too nowadays, and she's a little bit different. But she's more business type too. She sells a lot of business and stuff. So, but if I want to just keep it really like social media experts, she's a little bit more broad-based general business. If I'm just talking social media experts, I might hold off right now. And social media marketing, that's a broad interest. I'm not going to use this one right now. That's something down the road we can do. It's 81 million. Okay. But we might do, I don't think, Pat Flynn right there. And we can go through a few of those different, Gary V could be potentially, but for right now, I'll leave that on a separate, on its own. But just kind of some of these, groups similar like that. And then you have that as an ad set. And then another one I might do is maybe we might do software. We might do like enterprise level software like HubSpot and Eloqua. Not even anymore. Salesforce.com. So we got a couple of those if you want. We can have hit suggestions, and Marketo would be one, right? Okay, boom. And then I have another ad set where I've got like Sprout Social and some of these Buffer and some of these social media software together. Okay. And then that's how you can do that. So really that's how you want to think about your groups of interests. Group them up like that, and you're going to do interests on their own, and then you're going to have other lookalikes and then lookalike groups, and that's how you start to develop your ad sets. Like I said, we found that the algorithm just works really well when you let it do its thing. So if you have a client that you're optimizing on leads or a low price product or something like that, and you're generating a good volume of conversions, don't be afraid to put even more of these together, like the Frank Kern, all of them combined with Amy Porterfield and all of them into one audience. Okay. So that is it. That's the main gist of how you really want to structure your audiences, how to find the best, perfect potential customer. Let the algorithm do its thing. Trust me, it is good. But if you don't have the right message, then it's not going to do very well no matter what, no matter who you target, no matter how ninja you get, it doesn't matter. The messaging is where you can cut your cost by 3, 4, 5 times. It's crazy. So let's get in there. Let's dial in the messaging and let's learn this and start getting some data, learning, let the algorithm get smart, optimize, and get better over time. All right, so that's going to be it for this video, and I will see you on the next one. Talk to you soon.
sun.